And the final part of this quiz was all about slope. I mean, think about it. We have 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. We're talking about 7 questions, 7 points out of the 23 that come from the slope and the slope formula. Now, the first 3 are super easy. We all know, or we should know, let me do this on the side, that your slope is really rise over run. Okay, now the rise, it could be positive if it's going up, or it could be negative if it's going down, but we're going to choose to always look at the lines from left to right, so the runs are always positive, okay? So we're always going to look at lines the way we read sentences from left to right. So knowing that, we could take a look at this line right here and look at it from left to right. I mean, if I read this, it says find the slope. I'm reading from left to right. Same thing with lines. We're going to read the lines from left to right. So from left to right, is this going up or is this going down? It's going down. How many units does it go down? 3 units to get to this next point. I even show you the points right here, guys. The ones I want you to use. So you're going to go down 1, 2, 3 units. That's -3 of a rise. And then from here, you're going to run 1 unit. And that's +1 for the run. So what is your slope? Slope is -3 over 1. Or you could just say that your slope's -3. Either one of these are 100% correct. You got it? Let's try number 18 over here. Find the slope. Well, rise over run. First of all, you don't even need to count, because if you know that this line is totally flat, we know that slope is steepness. And how steep is this? It's not steep at all. This is slope 0. M equals 0. Okay? Let's move on to the next one. Again, let's count the rise and the run, and they even show you the points they want you to use, this point and that point. Now, from this point right here to this point up here, first of all, are we going up or are we going down from left to right? We're going up. And how many units do we go up? We go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a +4 as the rise. And how about the run? The run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's a +5 as the run. Remember, we're always going to look at lines from left to right, so the run is always going to be positive. It doesn't matter where the line is at. So your slope, your M value, is rise over run. So the slope is 4/5. Those should have been easy. Moving on to the last 3. This is where we have to apply the slope formula. Let me write down the slope formula over here. M equals negative, and we're going to put a fraction bar, a subtraction, and a subtraction. That's how you're always going to start the slope formula. And of course, the top left is y2, the top right's y1, the bottom left is x2, the bottom right is x1. Now, this formula right here is not going to make sense unless you understand that what they give you are 2 coordinates, and those coordinates are really an x value and a y value. X value and a y value. Your first point is the one on the left, so you put 1, 1, and you put a 2, 2 right there. That way you know, if I say look at x2, you know I'm talking about the 5. If I say look at x1, you know I'm talking about the 3. Because if we didn't label them x1, x2, if I say look at x, you don't know which one I'm talking about, the 3 or the 5. So it's important that we label the first point our first coordinate and the second point our second coordinate. Okay, so once again, when you use the slope formula, let's begin using the slope formula with the fraction bar and the subtractions. And now let's plug in our y2 value, which happens to be 6, our y1 value, which happens to be 2, our x2 value, which happens to be 5, and our x1 value, which happens to be 3. And if we work this out, up on the numerator, 6 take away 2 is 4, and on the denominator, 5 take away 3 is 2. So the answer is 4 over 2, but we could actually divide that. So our nicest answer is either 2 over 1 or just m equals 2. Okay? So let's try another one. Let's try number 21 right here. We're going to label x, y, 1, 1, 2, 2. And when you plug it in, you're going to use the division, subtractions. y2 happens to be 1. y1 happens to be -5, x2 happens to be -9, and x1 happens to be -4. And this is the reason why I do the division and the subtractions first, because the minus minus has to change to a plus plus. So up on top, you end up with a 6, and on the bottom, you end up with a -5, and there's your slope, 6 over -5. Now numbers 22 and 23 are the most interesting ones. So I'm just going to jump to the formula, and y2 happens to be 4, so that's going to be a 4 right there. y1 happens to be 4 also, and x2 happens to be -3, and x1 happens to be 3. Now when you do this math, you're going to end up with 0 on top over -6. Some people left it like that. I think I gave you guys credit, but the answer should be 0. 0 divided by any number is equal to 0. Okay? And for the final one, when you do the formula, you're going to have y2 minus y1. That's -2 minus 5. Okay? And then x2, which is -3, minus x1, which is -3. And when you do the minus minus change to a plus plus, you will see that you end up with -7 over 0 as an answer. And I cannot accept that as a final answer, because anytime you have 0 underneath, the answer is undefined. Okay, so I went over the whole quiz. I explained every single question on the quiz in about 20 minutes, right? So everybody should be able to correct this, because all you got to do is get on Edmodo and watch this video and correct it on a separate sheet of paper with an explanation of what you did wrong and how you do it right. All of this stuff's going to reappear on the final exam.